Just trying to get everything set up right now. Just trying to get everything set up right now. Double checking the microphone. Double checking the microphone. Double checking the microphone. I wanted to know if I'm getting a lot of feedback here. Feel free to enter in the text in the chat. Let me know if you can hear me okay, if I'm coming in loud and clear. Taking a look at the major pairs, this is what we like to trade, or at least what I pay attention to. The primary focus is to...
Saying via BOJ spokesman that Governor Kuroda will not attend Jackson Hole Symposium, but as said earlier, the Deputy Governor, Waktabe, will attend.
Just trying to pay attention to what the dollar is doing, so let's go take a look here. The dollar is the backbone of what we focus on. That's up here at the top left, followed by the positively correlated currencies. That's what you have here across the top here. You have the Swiss franc, the Canadian, and the Japanese yen. The tendency is that whenever the dollar goes one direction, the the pairs across the top will have a tendency to follow. And then the pairs across the bottom are inversely correlated, so they go in the opposite direction as the dollar. The pairs across the bottom here are the euro pound, the euro, the pound, the Australian dollar, and the New Zealand dollar. It really makes it very easy to trade the currencies if you have a dashboard set up like this, because in a sense all you have to do is pay attention to one currency and then you can see what's happening across the board. So watching here, this is also a daily chart here of the pairs that I just mentioned. Again, the dollar up in the top left hand corner. You got the Swiss franc right next to the dollar. The fascinating thing here over the past couple of days is how the Swiss franc has broken through the bottom of this triangle. Just bring this up here a little bit more zoomed. You see here that a top at the parity level has been holding, and now we're actually violating our lower end of this triangle. So I'm looking for more downside potential here, more downside to be expected in the Swiss franc, which is going to actually impact the dollar index. It's actually going to pull down the dollar, and assuming that continues, that is going to impact this one. This dollar is going to continue to slide lower, and that's going to give energy to the euro, pound, Australia, and New Zealand. So you're going to see these three up here, or actually these four are going to go down. These four across the bottom are going to go up. For anybody out there who's interested, you could set up a dashboard like this very easily, and it helps you limit the scope of currencies that you're trading. The primary purpose here is to be able to concentrate on a select few pairs without having to get confused. Once you're a little bit more advanced, you can actually move on to where you're trading multiple pairs. This right here is the full watch list that I follow, including the dollar at the top, and you can see all the rest of the pairs right here in this watch list. And one of my favorite things to do is to look at it on the, you get a daily chart here. This is your daily chart, and it's a line on close chart. It helps to remove all the indicators and everything out there, so that way you can get a very clear focus on what price is doing, and sticking to the classic approach to reading the markets. Okay, one of the things that I was looking at here is the pound yen. This is the pound yen, and of course it's not on my currency dashboard, but it is on my overall watch list. You can see here over the past couple of days, we've been bouncing off the 50% retracement level. This is pretty important to me. What I'm looking for is the market to actually hold this 50% retracement level and then bounce through this 382 and then come up through this upper trend line and then proceed on, probably pushing all the way up to 155 at some point, assuming that this level can hold at 140 and change. So I think going forward, this is actually going to be a really interesting market to be trading. This is the multiple time frame analysis of the same pair. So what you're looking at is just a bunch of moving averages. The multiple time frame charts, what I tend to pay attention to is the 50 period moving average on the various time frames. You can see the top right, or the top left here is the monthly, the top right is the weekly, the bottom left is the daily, the bottom right is the 240 time frame. And if we go back to, let's take a look at the weekly chart, bring up these Fibonacci levels again. We are at a perfect retracement zone. And you see how the market is bouncing right at the 50% retracement level. And in fact, we are getting a clean setup coming through. Anyways, so the pound yen is very important right now, in my opinion. I think that it's setting up to go higher. This is the daily chart. I'm zooming out again because I want to be able to focus on that same level. Remember that it's really important that you are using multiple time frames, but I will avoid going to the time frames that are lower than the 240 minute or 4-hour chart, and because there's just a lot of noise beneath that level in the lower time frames. So here we are looking at the daily chart, the same level here.
Out of Japan's financial regulator commissioner.
You can see here right off the $140 or 140.38 area is where the 50% retracement level, and now we're actually bouncing. So the anticipation here, if you're watching the pound yen